We all have a unique journey, one that is deeply personal and unlike anyone else's. The path we take is shaped by our experiences, values, choices, and circumstances, and it's important to recognize that it cannot be compared to the lives of others. When we fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to others, we risk losing sight of our own story and what makes it significant. Every individual has their own timeline, different challenges, different victories, and different lessons to learn along the way. It's easy to forget this in a world where comparison is so often the default. We are constantly surrounded by reminders of what others are doing, from social media feeds to casual conversations with friends and colleagues. The temptation to measure ourselves against others becomes almost unavoidable. Yet the truth is that this practice is ultimately fruitless. No one else's journey mirrors your own, and therefore any attempt to measure your progress against theirs will only lead to frustration and confusion. We all encounter obstacles, and while someone else's challenges may look different, they are no less significant. What's important is how we navigate them. You may look at someone who appears to have an easier time, or someone who seems to have achieved success more quickly, and feel that you are falling behind. But what you don't see is the internal struggle or the unseen setbacks they have faced. You don't know the sacrifices they've made or the challenges they've had to overcome in their own life. And more importantly, you may not see the areas where they are struggling or feeling insecure themselves. On the other hand, there may be times when you find yourself looking at someone who seems to have everything together. Perhaps they're excelling in their career, their relationships seem perfect, or they appear to always be happy and confident. But here's the thing. What you see is not the full picture. Behind every seemingly perfect image is a story that you don't have access to. Comparing your behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel will always feel like you're coming up short. The truth is, comparing ourselves to others steals our ability to appreciate our own experiences and growth. When we look at someone else's journey and start to feel that we should be in the same place, we lose sight of what makes our own experiences valuable. Life is not a race or a competition. It's a personal journey, and every step, every setback, and every victory has its own significance. By comparing ourselves to others, we fail to recognize the growth we've made and the strength we've gained from our unique challenges. Moreover, our pace is not something that can be accurately measured against someone else's. We each move forward at our own speed, influenced by a variety of factors: our environment, the opportunities available to us, and even our mental and emotional states. What may seem like a slow progress to one person could be a breakthrough to another. There is no single timeline for success or fulfillment, and what works for one person might not work for someone else. We must stop expecting our lives to unfold in the same way as someone else's, because that isn't how life works. Your journey is a reflection of who you are and where you've been. It's about how you've overcome challenges, how you've learned from your mistakes, and how you've celebrated your own small wins. The experiences that have shaped you are yours alone, and they are what make your journey meaningful. No one else can walk your path in the same way, and that's something worth cherishing. When you stop comparing yourself to others and start embracing your own journey, you begin to see the beauty in your own progress. Comparing yourself to someone else only serves to diminish your own sense of self-worth. When you recognize that your path is unique, you can start to honor it. You'll no longer feel the need to prove yourself by matching someone else's achievements or living up to someone else's standards. Instead, you'll be able to focus on your own goals, dreams, and aspirations, and trust that your journey is unfolding in its own time. The reality is that comparison takes away from your ability to fully appreciate where you are right now. Each step you take in your life is important, and when you allow yourself to focus on your own progress, you'll find that you are exactly where you need to be. Embrace your journey for what it is, a story that is uniquely yours, with all the highs and lows that come with it. In the end, the most powerful thing you can do for yourself is to stop comparing your journey to someone else's. Your life is not meant to be a replica of someone else's. It's meant to be an expression of who you are and what you are capable of. Trust in your own path and let go of the need to measure yourself against others. Your story is worth telling, and only you can truly understand the depth of it. In today's world, social media has become a pervasive part of our daily lives, influencing the way we think, act, and even perceive ourselves. One of the most damaging aspects of social media is the distorted view it often presents of people's lives. The content we see on our feeds is carefully curated, offering us only the highlights and leaving out the more mundane, challenging, or vulnerable moments. This selective portrayal of life can create a sense of inadequacy or self-doubt when we compare ourselves to the polished images that others project. What we must remember is that these platforms don't show the full picture, and comparing our lives to what we see online is an unfair and unrealistic practice. When we scroll through social media, it's easy to get caught up in the illusion that everyone else is living a life filled with constant success, joy, and fulfillment. We see friends posting pictures of vacations, celebrations, and milestones, and we may begin to feel like our own lives are somehow lacking. But what we need to keep in mind is that these posts represent only a small fraction of someone's life. We rarely see the challenges, the hard work, or the setbacks that people face behind the scenes. People may post about their accomplishments or moments of happiness, but they don't always share the times when they struggle, feel down, or question their own path. This one-sided view of life can lead us to believe that everyone around us is doing better than we are. We may feel like we're falling behind because our lives don't seem as perfect or exciting as what we see on social media. The truth is, no one's life is as perfect as it appears online. Just because someone posts a picture of themselves at a beautiful location doesn't mean that they don't have their own worries or difficulties. Just because someone shares a career success doesn't mean that they haven't faced rejection or frustration along the way. What we see on social media is, at best, a snapshot of a moment in time, an edited version of reality. The problem with this curated version of life is that it creates unrealistic standards and expectations. We begin to think that our lives should mirror the perfection we see online, which leads to unnecessary pressure to keep up with others. This pressure can be overwhelming, especially when we feel like we're not measuring up to the highlights of someone else's life. In reality, everyone is dealing with their own battles, and social media often hides the struggles that are part of every person's journey. The constant comparison to others' seemingly flawless lives can make us feel like we're falling short, even when we are making progress in our own lives. Moreover, social media has a way of amplifying feelings of insecurity. Many of us are conditioned to seek validation from likes, comments, and shares, which can make us feel validated or dejected based on the responses we get. When we compare ourselves to others online, we often measure our self-worth by how we stack up against the content others post. If someone gets more attention or appears to be more successful, we may internalize that as a reflection of our own inadequacies. But this is an unhealthy way to view our value because external validation, especially in the form of social media engagement, is fleeting and unreliable. It's not an accurate measure of who we are or what we are capable of. Even beyond the personal impact, social media can perpetuate harmful societal ideals. Many influencers, celebrities, and public figures present lifestyles that are unattainable for most people, whether it's luxury vacations, designer clothes, or an idealized body image. This can set a standard that is not only unrealistic, but also exclusionary, leaving many people feeling like they are not enough because they don't fit into these narrow ideals. The more we compare ourselves to these images, the more we internalize the belief that our lives should align with these unattainable standards, leading to frustration and dissatisfaction. What we need to understand is that social media is not a reflection of reality. It's a carefully edited narrative that only shows a sliver of the truth. By comparing ourselves to what we see online, we miss the opportunity to appreciate the unique aspects of our own lives and journeys. We may start to think that we're not doing enough, that we're not living up to expectations, or that we're somehow behind in life. But the reality is that everyone is on their own path, and it's not fair to measure our worth or success based on what others are showing online. The key to navigating social media in a healthy way is to remind ourselves that what we see isn't the whole story. The pressure to conform to online standards can be overwhelming, but we have the power to choose how we engage with it. Instead of comparing ourselves to the curated versions of others' lives, we can choose to focus on our own growth and achievements. We can celebrate our small victories, take pride in our progress, and appreciate the unique experiences that shape our personal story. Ultimately, social media should not be a tool for self-doubt, but a way to connect, share, and learn from others. By recognizing that what we see online is not the full picture, we can shift our focus from comparison to self-acceptance. We can remember that our lives, with all their highs and lows, are valuable in their own right. When we stop comparing ourselves to the distorted reality of social media, we can start living with more authenticity and peace of mind, embracing our own journey as it unfolds. Self-worth is an internal foundation, a deeply personal belief in your own value that doesn't rely on external validation. In a world that often emphasizes external achievements, approval from others, and comparing ourselves to those around us, it can be difficult to remember that our worth is not determined by how we stack up against anyone else. True self-worth comes from within, and it's something that cannot be taken away by comparison or diminished by the opinions of others. Recognizing this is key to building a strong sense of self and learning to embrace your individuality. We live in a society that often ties value to measurable outcomes: success, wealth, status, popularity. The external markers of accomplishment can sometimes lead us to think that our worth is dependent on these things. Social media, the workplace, and even personal relationships often encourage us to seek validation from others, to measure our self-esteem by how others see us or by how closely we align with societal standards. This external validation can feel like a temporary boost, but it's fleeting and unreliable. The truth is, you cannot base your sense of self-worth on the opinions or comparisons to others. When you do, you allow someone else's perspective to define who you are instead of standing firm in your own truth. Self-worth is not about what you do or what you have. It is about who you are at your core. It's about recognizing that you are deserving of respect, love, and kindness simply because you exist. When you start to internalize this truth, you stop seeking constant approval from others and instead begin to value your own thoughts, feelings, and actions. This doesn't mean that you should ignore feedback or refuse to grow. It simply means that you are grounded in the knowledge that your value isn't contingent on how well you perform or how others view you. Your worth is inherent, not earned. When you allow others to dictate your sense of worth, you risk losing touch with what truly makes you unique. We are often influenced by the expectations of others, parents, peers, colleagues, and this can cause us to feel like we need to prove ourselves or live up to someone else's vision of success. This pressure can lead to feelings of inadequacy when we don't meet these expectations. But when we cultivate self-worth from within, we become less susceptible to these external pressures. We begin to trust our own instincts and recognize that our path may be different from others, and that's perfectly okay. One of the most powerful ways to strengthen your sense of self-worth is to practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself, especially when you make mistakes or face setbacks. Instead of criticizing yourself for not being perfect, acknowledge your efforts and understand that growth comes from imperfection. Self-compassion allows you to treat yourself with the same care and understanding that you would offer a friend, and it helps reinforce the idea that you are worthy of love and respect, regardless of your flaws or failures. When you embrace this mindset, you become less concerned with comparing yourself to others and more focused on your own journey and well-being. Another aspect of nurturing your self-worth is recognizing the value of your own contributions, no matter how small they may seem. We often undervalue the impact we have on the world around us, whether it's in our relationships, our work, or our communities. When we compare ourselves to others, we tend to overlook the unique strengths we bring to the table. Every person has something special to offer, and your contributions are valuable. By taking time to reflect on your strengths, achievements, and positive qualities, you reinforce your belief in your worth and stop measuring it by external standards. It's also important to recognize that self-worth doesn't fluctuate with success or failure. It's easy to feel good about ourselves when things are going well, but when we face challenges or experience setbacks, it's common to question our value. However, our worth remains constant, regardless of the circumstances. Life is full of ups and downs, but neither success nor failure should define who we are as individuals. Instead of attaching your self-worth to the outcomes, focus on the effort, the learning, and the resilience you demonstrate in the face of challenges. This approach allows you to maintain a sense of worth that is unaffected by the transient nature of external achievements. When we build our self-worth from within, we also create a healthier relationship with others. We stop relying on external validation and start forming connections that are based on genuine, mutual respect and appreciation. Instead of seeking approval, we engage with others from a place of self-assurance and confidence. This helps us build deeper, more authentic relationships because we are no longer looking to others to fill the void of self-doubt. We become more comfortable in our own skin and allow others to appreciate us for who we truly are, rather than for the image we may try to project. Ultimately, self-worth is not something that can be compared or measured. It is a deeply personal understanding of your own inherent value, and it doesn't depend on the achievements or opinions of others. When you learn to value yourself for who you are, independent of external factors, you free yourself from the constant cycle of comparison and self-criticism. Your worth is not determined by how others view you or by how closely you align with someone else's success. It's determined by your own belief in your value as a person. Embrace this, and you'll find a sense of peace and contentment that comparison can never provide. When we compare ourselves to others, we often unknowingly put up barriers to our own personal growth. It becomes all too easy to fall into the trap of measuring our progress by the milestones or achievements of those around us. We might look at someone else's success and feel discouraged because it seems like they are farther ahead or doing better. But comparison often works in the opposite direction of growth. It holds us back rather than propelling us forward. By focusing on others, we miss out on the opportunity to recognize and nurture our own potential. The first issue with comparison is that it distracts us from our own path. We begin to measure our worth and progress based on someone else's timeline, which leads to a sense of impatience. We forget that growth is a process and it happens at different speeds for everyone. Some people may achieve certain goals faster, but that doesn't diminish the value of our own journey. In fact, when we focus too much on others, we fail to see the steps we're taking and the progress we're making. This distraction can result in frustration and feelings of inadequacy, preventing us from recognizing the small victories we achieve along the way. Moreover, comparison can create unnecessary pressure. When we compare ourselves to someone else's accomplishments, we often feel like we must reach the same milestones or achieve the same level of success, and we set unrealistic expectations for ourselves. This pressure can lead to burnout and exhaustion as we push ourselves to meet these arbitrary standards that aren't aligned with our personal goals or circumstances. Rather than inspiring us, comparison becomes a heavy burden, making us feel as though we're not good enough or working hard enough. Another way comparison stunts personal growth is by encouraging a fixed mindset. When we measure ourselves against others, we tend to focus on results rather than effort and process. We begin to see someone else's success as something that is innate or easily attainable, rather than the product of hard work, learning, and growth. This mindset can lead us to believe that if we don't achieve the same outcomes quickly, it means we're not as capable or talented. In contrast, adopting a growth mindset, one that focuses on progress, learning from mistakes, and celebrating effort, allows us to see that growth isn't about an end goal, but about the journey and the continuous improvements we make along the way. When we compare ourselves to others, we often overlook our own unique strengths and qualities. Each of us has different experiences, perspectives, and skills that contribute to who we are and what we bring to the table, but when we focus on others, we tend to undervalue our own abilities, believing that we must be like someone else to be successful or worthy. This perspective limits our potential because it narrows our vision to what others are doing rather than allowing us to explore our own talents and interests. Instead of feeling inspired to find our own voice, we get stuck in a cycle of imitation and self-doubt. Furthermore, comparison breeds a sense of competition that often hinders collaboration. When we see others as rivals or benchmarks for our own success, we lose sight of the power of working together. Collaboration is about learning from each other, sharing ideas, and supporting one another, but comparison can make us view others as threats rather than allies. When we shift our mindset from competition to collaboration, we open ourselves up to new perspectives and opportunities for growth. We begin to realize that success doesn't have to be a zero-sum game, where one person's achievement means someone else's failure. There's enough room for everyone to succeed, and sometimes working together can accelerate our progress. Instead of using comparison as a measure of our worth or success, we can choose to focus on our own personal goals and progress. By setting our own benchmarks and taking pride in the steps we take toward our goals, we build momentum and cultivate a sense of purpose. Growth is not linear, and it doesn't look the same for everyone. The key is to recognize that the only person you need to compare yourself to is who you were yesterday, not someone else. Celebrate your own unique journey, with all of its ups and downs, and trust that progress is happening even if it doesn't look the same as someone else's path. When we stop comparing ourselves to others, we create space for self-reflection and self-improvement. We give ourselves permission to grow at our own pace, and we become more open to learning from our mistakes. Instead of feeling defeated by the achievements of others, we can use their success as inspiration, knowing that their journey is not a reflection of our own. Personal growth is about continuously moving forward, embracing challenges, and finding fulfillment in the progress we make, not in the way we measure up to others. The moment we stop comparing is the moment we give ourselves the freedom to truly grow and evolve into the best version of ourselves. One of the most important aspects of living a fulfilling life is learning to celebrate your own successes, no matter how big or small they may seem. Often we get so caught up in the idea that success looks a certain way, like achieving a major career milestone or hitting a specific financial target, that we overlook the smaller everyday victories that are just as meaningful. Celebrating these wins, even the smallest ones, helps to build a sense of accomplishment and pride that fuels continued growth and motivation. When we stop comparing ourselves to others, we allow ourselves the freedom to appreciate our own progress without feeling the need to measure up to anyone else. It's easy to overlook our own achievements when we're focused on what others are doing. We may look at someone else's success and think, I'm not there yet, or I haven't accomplished as much as they have. This mindset can make us feel like we're not doing enough, even if we've made significant progress in our own lives. But the reality is that every step forward is an accomplishment, and every challenge we overcome is worth celebrating. Instead of looking outward and comparing ourselves to others, we should look inward and recognize the milestones we've reached in our own journey. Celebrating small successes doesn't just mean marking the big wins. It's about acknowledging the little things, the days when you pushed through self-doubt, the moments when you tried something new, or the times you made progress toward a goal, even if it wasn't perfect. These moments are just as important because they build momentum and contribute to your overall growth. Recognizing and celebrating these successes boosts our confidence and helps us stay motivated to keep moving forward. Number 5, when we're too focused on what others are achieving, we forget to take a moment to appreciate the efforts we've already put in. Moreover, celebrating your own achievements allows you to create a more positive, encouraging internal dialogue. It's easy to fall into the trap of self-criticism, especially when we're comparing ourselves to others. We may tell ourselves that we haven't done enough or that our progress isn't significant, but when we take time to celebrate even the smallest wins, we begin to shift our focus from what we haven't done to what we have accomplished. This shift in mindset is crucial for building self-esteem and maintaining a healthy sense of self-worth. By giving ourselves credit for the progress we make, we acknowledge our efforts and reaffirm that we are capable of achieving great things, regardless of how they measure up to someone else's timeline. In addition to boosting our confidence, celebrating our wins helps to reinforce a sense of purpose and direction. When we recognize our achievements, it reminds us of the goals we're working toward and the reasons we started on this path in the first place. It helps to keep us grounded in our own values and aspirations rather than getting distracted by what others are doing. Each celebration, no matter how small, serves as a reminder that we are moving closer to our own version of success, not anyone else's. This sense of accomplishment can be a powerful motivator, helping us push through moments of doubt or frustration. Instead of letting comparison derail us, we can look back at our progress and feel a sense of pride in what we've already achieved. Additionally, celebrating your own successes fosters a healthier relationship with success itself. When we view success as a journey rather than a destination, we understand that it's not about achieving a single final goal, but about the continuous progress we make along the way. Each victory, whether it's finishing a project, learning a new skill, or simply making it through a tough day, adds to the overall picture of success. By celebrating these moments, we shift our perspective from focusing on the end result to appreciating the process of growth and learning. This mindset helps to reduce the pressure we feel when we compare ourselves to others, because we begin to see success as a personal, ongoing experience that is unique to us. Another key reason to celebrate our successes is that it creates a positive feedback loop. When we take time to appreciate what we've accomplished, it inspires us to keep going and to pursue even greater achievements. It helps us build confidence, which leads to taking more risks, setting more ambitious goals, and ultimately reaching higher levels of success. The more we celebrate our own growth, the more we reinforce the idea that we are capable of achieving anything we set our minds to. This positive reinforcement keeps us motivated, focused, and excited about what's to come. In the end, celebrating your own successes is about giving yourself permission to feel proud of who you are and what you've accomplished. By taking the time to reflect on your progress and appreciate the small victories, you build a sense of fulfillment that doesn't rely on comparison or the validation of others. Your journey is yours to celebrate, and by acknowledging your wins, you honor the hard work, determination, and resilience that have brought you to where you are today. Every success, no matter how big or small, is a step toward the life you're creating, and that's something worth celebrating. Living a life free of comparison allows us to embrace the power of self-acceptance, which is essential for cultivating genuine happiness and peace. When we stop comparing ourselves to others, we create space for self-love and understanding. Instead of seeking validation or approval from external sources, we begin to value ourselves for who we truly are, flaws and all. Self-acceptance means recognizing that we are worthy just as we are, and that our uniqueness is what makes us valuable in the world. The journey to self-acceptance often starts with learning to let go of unrealistic expectations and societal pressures. We live in a world that constantly bombards us with messages about how we should look, what we should achieve, and how we should. These external standards can create feelings of inadequacy, especially when we compare ourselves to others who seem to embody those ideals more effortlessly. However, true happiness doesn't come from conforming to these expectations or living up to an image of perfection. It comes from understanding that we are enough as we are, without needing to be anything or anyone else. One of the most liberating aspects of self-acceptance is learning to embrace our imperfections. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that we need to be perfect in order to be worthy or successful. This mindset can lead to constant self-criticism and self-doubt. But perfection is an illusion, and striving for it often holds us back from realizing our full potential. Self-acceptance encourages us to appreciate our flaws as part of our unique story. Rather than seeing imperfections as weaknesses, we can view them as opportunities for growth and learning. The more we embrace our authentic selves, the more we free ourselves from the need for comparison, and we begin to appreciate the beauty of our individuality. Another powerful aspect of self-acceptance is the freedom it gives us to live authentically. When we are no longer concerned with measuring up to someone else's standards, we can fully embrace who we are. This means making decisions based on what feels right for us, not what we think others expect or what we see others doing. We can follow our own path, set our own goals, and define success on our own terms. Self-acceptance allows us to take ownership of our lives without feeling pressured to fit into a mold that doesn't align with our true selves. When we live authentically, we experience a deeper sense of fulfillment and contentment because we are no longer living for others, we are living for ourselves. Learning to accept ourselves also involves letting go of self-judgment. We are often our own harshest critics, scrutinizing our every move and focusing on our perceived flaws. This constant self-criticism can be draining and demoralizing, making it difficult to celebrate our successes or acknowledge our progress. But self-acceptance teaches us to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding, even when we fall short of our own expectation. Instead of beating ourselves up over mistakes, we can approach them with compassion, recognizing that they are part of the learning process. When we stop judging ourselves so harshly, we open up the space for growth and self-improvement without the weight of constant negative self-talk. Self-acceptance also strengthens our ability to build meaningful relationships. When we accept ourselves, we no longer seek validation or approval from others, and this allows us to form deeper, more authentic connections. We stop comparing ourselves to others in our relationships, which means we can focus on supporting and uplifting each other instead of competing. By embracing our true selves, we encourage others to do the same, fostering an environment of mutual respect and understanding. Relationships built on self-acceptance are healthier and more fulfilling because they are rooted in authenticity rather than comparison or insecurity. Moreover, self-acceptance provides us with the resilience to face life's challenges. Life is full of ups and downs, and it's easy to feel defeated when things don't go as planned. However, when we accept ourselves fully, we are better equipped to handle setbacks. We understand that failure is not a reflection of our worth, but rather an opportunity to learn and grow. With self-acceptance, we can approach challenges with a sense of confidence and self-assurance, knowing that we are capable of overcoming them. This inner strength comes from recognizing that our value is not dependent on external circumstances or outcomes. It is inherent in who we are. Ultimately, the power of self-acceptance lies in the peace it brings. When we stop comparing ourselves to others and learn to embrace ourselves, we let go of the constant striving for approval or perfection. We free ourselves from the anxiety and stress that comes with trying to measure up to someone else's standards. Instead, we find contentment in the present moment and in the person we are. Self-acceptance allows us to live with greater peace of mind because we no longer need to seek external validation to feel worthy. We are enough, exactly as we are. By cultivating self-acceptance, we stop looking outside ourselves for affirmation and start looking inward, recognizing our intrinsic worth. We become more compassionate toward ourselves, more authentic in our actions, and more resilient in the face of challenges. In the end, self-acceptance is the key to living a life of true freedom, joy, and peace.